Welcome to Ventures from the Valley, a podcast by R136 Ventures. This is the show where we highlight the biggest topics in business and investment with some of the biggest experts in the space to help you learn how to grow your portfolio in venture capital. I'm Viktor Orlovski.
Dear friends, I'm Viktor Orlovski, and today we have another series of a podcast, Ventures from the Valley. Today we speak to a great person, an entrepreneur, my friend, Jim Kolchin. He is a founder of ReSharp, which he sold with 8-digit number, and he is now a founder of a company called iWallet, which is working in a payment space and growing really fast. This company has reached to a multi-million dollars revenue without any single dollar invested. And it is profitable. It is very difficult to build a payment company which is growing 2 times a year, being profitable, and having no one single dollar from the venture world. Please meet Jim Kolchin. Let's start. Hi, Jim. Great to meet you here, and welcome to our podcast, Ventures from the Valley. I just wanted to introduce you shortly. We met, I think, 6-7 years ago, right? And we met occasionally through our wives who were enjoying time with kids in the park here in Menlo Park. And that's how they met. And then occasionally we met. So we know each other for quite a bit of time. And we really became friends. And I admire all your achievements as an entrepreneur, as a startupper. So I just wanted to start with asking something from your childhood. So what did you want to become when you were 7 years old? Did you have any dream back then?
Well, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. We actually met in Atherton Park, right, 8 years ago. Well, that's what our wives met. The answer to a question is, when I was a child, growing up in that would be late 80s in the Soviet Union, I did not really have a dream, a particular dream to be somebody. I think my first kind of entrepreneurial journey started when I started selling chewing gums at school.
So you were already age 8, I think, back then. Not age 7. So you didn't have a dream by age 7, but age 8 you started selling chewing gums.
Well, no, I think chewing gums were more closer to like age 12, something like that.
How much did you make? What was your annualized revenue?
ARR. I don't remember what was ARR was, but well, the first money that truly, if you remember those times, you could actually sell some used paper. Those books that you don't use on magazines. You can actually sell them to the government and get some money, or empty bottles of beer or wine. It's actually still quite popular business here in the US.
Probably to people who never lived in the Soviet Union, and that's probably what we share this ancestry from this country, which doesn't exist now, is that chewing gums were quite a deficit, right? I mean, it was hard to find. So probably you made really great margins on that.
Right.
Software margins on the hardware products.
I was buying them actually. I was buying like 100 of them at a time, like a whole box, and then you would sell it. Back in the time, they had little kiosks all over the city, and kiosk was selling the same. But here I could just sell it in school, kind of person to person. And yeah, it was a great way to make some pocket change.
So what did you learn? I mean, what did you learn with this? The first business you were in. So what was the kind of things you learned through that? What did stay? I mean, is there anything what you can admire you did really, really so good that it just stayed with you for the entire life?
Well, I remember my grandma was telling me that, I could go to jail for that if I was doing it just a couple of years ago. I wanted to buy, actually, I had two dreams that I've had when I was an early teenager is to buy a PC, like IBM PC at the time, like
Did you buy
86.
finally? So you earned enough money on selling chewing gums
Eventually.
to
Well,
buy
I wanted
a PC? Okay.
I wanted to buy a motorcycle first, and then a PC. When my mom said no motorcycles, and I ended up buying a PC. It was a Celeron. I think it was like 133, something like that. I ended up spending all of that money.
Did you start like playing games, or did you start like programming? What was your first action?
The first computer was actually forgot the name of the computer. It was just a keyboard with audio tapes through a tape recorder.
What year was it?
I don't know. Early 90s, early 80s. Okay. I don't even remember, but it was some kind of Soviet-made keyboard.
Okay.
And you could play some games.
Everything Soviet-made is very solid sounding, like made of steel, right? So you can just really kill someone with this keyboard. Probably it's like a couple of puns, probably.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it was no internet connection, of course. You had to have a TV, and that's how we were playing games. Only then we got a PlayStation.
Okay, that's funny. So let's keep going. So when you were age 20, did you like finally have a dream? Did you finally want to become somewhat like you are now, or something different?
Well,
how did you evolve?
It was actually earlier. I think in my later teen years when I got inspired by the American Dream. After watching a couple of movies, especially probably the Terminator movie. It was the
So you wanted to become a Terminator?
Well, I wanted to see what it was like to be in LA. Yeah, but I actually did want to become a Terminator, and I started wearing my hair like this since the age of the Terminator.
So you didn't mention where was it? I mean, we are speaking of like Siberian place, right? Somewhere in the middle of
this
nowhere?
is northern Urals.
Northern Urals. Okay.
Yeah.
What's an average temperature there in winter time?
I don't know what the average is, but the winter there is essentially but 9 months of the year.
It's like Alaska, more or less, right?
Right. Yeah.
Just for people to imagine where you were born and raised.
Yes, it was quite cold there, but I enjoyed the cold. So yeah, couldn't complain about that at the time. So where were we? Sorry, you were asking.
The dream, like 20, when you were like late teens, you decided to actually leave this place, right? And went all the way along to the United States.
Yeah, I was inspired by the United States in my teenage years, and at the time, America was a friend. We had lots of people that were trying to learn English and watch American movies and listen to American songs, and really people believed in America being a big friend, and us becoming America one day, right? We would have a better life. In the 90s, that's kind of the lost opportunity. I think that happened. The first opportunity to come to the United States, I saw in 2001. So I entered from kind of my rural place in northern Urals. I went to study to Moscow University. So I studied computer programming there. I studied there for 3 years, and there was an opportunity for me to come to America to work and for the summer. So that's how I ended up here. Worked here my first summer, and decided to stay here. Dropped out of the university. I know I was an A student in university, and I remember I brought my Nokia 8310, that little phone, from Moscow, and that
So
phone.
that was the only thing you brought with you.
In
This
a
phone and
backpack.
probably a couple of bucks.
It was just a small backpack, and $200 in my pocket.
That's great.
So
That's a great
we used
start.
to get a stipend from the government, from the university, and I saved up all of that money. Because I could. Another funny fact is I lived in Moscow's dorm for less than $100 a month, and we had everything we needed. Bunch of friends and a good time.
Yeah, that's all you speak about your youth, right? It doesn't matter how much money you had. That's true. So, okay, so you ended up coming to the United States, and you are a dropper from the university, like many other entrepreneurs. So tell really briefly, what was your first business? So I know that you only worked as a self-employed, owning a business through your life.
Well, no,
so.
I actually worked. The first summer I worked for somebody. I was fixing bikes, washing cars, sweeping boardwalk. And I saved up $10,000 my first summer. And that was in New Jersey, so East Coast. And then I moved to LA because that's kind of where the Russian-speaking community is. And I found some friends on the internet, and decided to come to LA. And that's where I ended up opening my first business. I first worked as a kind of an independent contractor for this jewelry company. I wrote a program for them to estimate jewelry. I kind of became an appraiser of jewelry, and we were doing this jewelry appraisals for a startup. I don't know if it's still around, called Bids.com, and that was kind of early 2000s. And we kind of got laid off. I think we lost a contract or something. So I was like, okay, so programming does not, even experienced programmers could not find a job. And I was inexperienced programmer, so I couldn't really find a job as a programmer. So I found this guy from Odessa, Ukraine, who had an appliance repair company in Canoga Park, California, in the Valley. And quickly learned how to fix appliances, and started my first appliance repair business.
Okay. So actually, what I've heard, statistics shows that every second immigrant to the United States start her own business here. So you were one of two who actually started your own business. It was not a tech business though, right? So it was like a traditional business, and obviously that's what many people start here, right? So you ended up becoming a tech entrepreneur. So how did you move from being a traditional entrepreneur to becoming a tech entrepreneur? What did drive you? What did motivate you? Why you decided doing the tech business?
Well,
what was a trigger?
So I made my first year's money. $1 million was my dream. Has always been my goal. Now it's quite a bit higher than that. But at the time, that's all I wanted to make. And then I kind of took a break. In 2008, I was actually shorting the stock market and successfully, shorted all of the investment banks. So that made me a lot of money. And then I kind of took a break and I started thinking, okay, what now? Now that I kind of achieved my first milestone, what am I going to do next? And I started, tinkering with things. I bought this little computer board called Arduino, and I started playing around. And I've always been fascinated with hardware. So when you do appliance repair and HVAC repair, you always have these computer boards and you don't really understand how they work. They have these resistors and transistors. And I've always wanted to figure out what exactly do these little batteries do. And that's when I bought an Arduino and started programming hardware. and that was a lot of fun. And that's
Did you
when
have something in mind, or you just started like exploring the world of like hardware programming, or you had some special thing in mind, what you wanted to build?
No, not this is. I didn't have any. At first, I just wanted to kind of turn on the LED, turn off the LED, right? Turn on the
So
motor.
it was more
turn off
fun,
the,
right? Just fun,
yeah.
because you just loved it.
Yeah, just like when I was a kid, you would create some kind of little car that would move itself. That was my idea. Let me just first figure out how, the basic steps for fun, and then I think I got really inspired by this movie that I've seen called Social Network in 2011, and that really opened my mind that wow, there are so many entrepreneurs out there that are trying to do great things in this little cold place, Silicon Valley, that I kind of heard of, but did not really pay attention to, because America has a lot of great things, and it was still up to explore for me. I just, was not particularly attracted to, Northern California, because my wife does not like cold. Being from Siberia, she doesn't like cold. So we were never looking forward to check the place out. And then after watching that movie, I realized that there is a huge opportunity to make a lot of money, to live an even bigger American dream, all right, to kind of go to the next stage of my journey in Silicon Valley. And that's when I've gotten inspired by the Silicon Valley and started.
But you
reading
know like a certain idea, right? What you're going to do. So you just moved to the Silicon Valley knowing that you're going to do something without really knowing what exactly you're going to do, right?
Well, no. So I moved to Silicon Valley in 2015, and at the time I already had a couple of patents. At the time, I've already ran my first failed Kickstarter campaign, and that was the mailbox sensor. So I was really inspired, actually, because I was an HVAC. I was really inspired by Tony Fadell with Nest, and I actually flew a couple of times to Silicon Valley just to like check out to see what's going on there. And one other guy that I was really inspired by is Jamie Siminoff. He is roots from Eastern Europe as well, who's actually in LA, a founder of Doorbot then, and now it's called Ring, who sold it to Amazon. And this whole IoT.
Did you did you know him personally, or you just read about him, or what?
Yeah, just read it. Well, I now I know him personally, and we've met. But at the time, I've just heard about Doorbot, and I just thought, what a wonderful idea this is, to have a little doorbell with camera on it that will talk to your cell phone. And IoT has been, the Internet of Things was the kind of hot word of the day back then in 2014. And I thought, okay, I want to do something in IoT. I think this is the future. This is kind of the new wave, I thought. And I want to create something in the IoT space. And that was my mailbox sensor idea, which you can find on Kickstarter. So that was probably my biggest mistake that I made. It is that it took me 2 years, almost 2 years, to build this mailbox sensor. Spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to build it, just to run a Kickstarter campaign that only raised less than $5,000. Right. So that was my biggest takeaway, is that you have to put it in people's hands as soon as possible. Right. That's right. Yeah, you can't just think that customers will come. A lot of times that's what entrepreneurs do. And you see it still to this day in Silicon Valley. Big companies raise a ton of money with no product. And that's the biggest mistake that they can do. And that was my lesson that I took away from that.
You said that you had already a couple of patents. How many patents do you maintain now?
I actually lost track of it. But Probably about 10 issued patents and more than 10 filed patents with my name on it.
Do you think it like worth like patenting things? I mean, how do you think like of the patents? Do they create value? Have it created a value to some of your businesses finally?
It makes you feel better. Probably not much value, but it makes your partners or people you work your team feel better because they feel like you're working on something unique. At the end of the day, acquirers, if you end up selling the company, they like to see patents as well. They want some, protection against copy paste.
So you would recommend to file patents, right? Just to uniquely position yourself for like self-esteem, but also for future sale, right?
Yeah, nothing wrong with patents. I think they're great.
Is it time consuming, expensive to like file patent? I never did it. So is it like something what is hard to learn how to file it if you have an idea?
So you actually, when you only file less than 3 patents, you qualify for the so-called micro-entity status. So it's much cheaper when you are just starting out. So it's really good that, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office does it this way. And all you have to do is just usually go and do the search. So make sure that nobody else thought of that before, because otherwise you'll be just wasting your time. And once you do the search, if this is truly unique, then you can just file a patent. I actually found a really good attorney who helped me along the journey and just made it so much easier. And then, on the topic of patents, there are also trademarks, which is very similar to that. So that's another thing that could be important, is protecting trademark. Like the one we have now, iWallet, we have a trademark for it.
Awesome. Okay, so let's speak about your time to speak about not the failures, but the success. So let's speak about your first success. So what was that? So tell us about this journey, this company you created, and how this idea came in mind, and how did you actually go through this journey, ending up selling this for quite a fortune?
Yeah. So my first exit, 8-digit exit, happened with my automated knife sharpening machine called ReSharp. Well, initially it was called Knife Robot. I actually started working on it in LA, and so I brought this idea to Silicon Valley. I still have this huge CNC machine, so I bought a CNC machine on eBay for
what is
$900.
CNC machine? What's that?
It's computer numerical control machine. So it's basically a 3-axis machine that you can just cut out things on it. A very commonly used tool in mechanical engineering. And so 3D printing was becoming really popular. I remember, the 3D printers was like a wave. And you can even build your own 3D printer, because 3D printers were expensive. So people started selling little motors and servos and controllers for them. And so I bought this CNC machine, installed my controllers on it, and programmed it to move using that same Arduino. And I attached a little knife sharpening machine to that with belts and a camera. And I was able to sharpen knives automatically and look at it with a camera. And that's when I realized that you can actually build a machine out of that. So knife sharpening, just for those that don't know, in Eastern Europe, your owner's worth is judged by how sharp your knives are. And I could never sharpen my knives. So one day when I had the time, I just decided to figure it out, to figure out when to stop.
So it was just a curiosity, right? Out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm. Right, just for fun. Well, and we needed sharp knives at home.
At least.
So my wife wanted to use sharp knives, and I just created this machine, figured it out. First, I was doing it by hand, and then I figured it out. And then already once when in Palo Alto, I've built the first version of Knife Robot. You can actually look it up, knife-robot.com. And this time around, I ran another campaign on Indiegogo, which is a competitor to Kickstarter. This time I knew, after watching many videos, I knew that you have to build an email list. In order for a program to be successful, you have to have an email list, and then you have to prepare your audience, create an excitement before the launch. And then we launched the campaign, which raised over $100,000. We created a nice video, kind of slow-mo video, exciting video. And then I was selling this machine. I was kind of going around all over the Bay Area. I went to Berkeley, hoping that somebody would like my machine, and something would happen. And then I went to Stanford to this little show called Cool Product Expo at the Stanford GSB Graduate School of Business, and that's where I met my co-founder, Dave Lyons, who I'm super grateful to, and he's such a wonderful human being. He saw my little machine, and he was I think 12th employee at Tesla, world-class hardware engineer, and he worked for as a director of engineering for 4.5 years, something like that. So super smart guy with hardware, and he saw that machine and me sitting there, trying to promote it at his expo, actually. And we exchanged business cards and became quick friends. And
what did he love in this product or yourself? Why he decided to join as a co-founder? What was like his incentives? Why he liked it?
Well, so his mom actually gave him a set of knives, Henkel knives. And his mom is no longer around, so he really cherishes his knives. And he wanted to sharpen those knives. He took it to somebody, and they really messed it up. Really scratched the hell out of that knife. And that's thanks to that guy, because Dave was so upset. And we still have this knife, because that was essentially the start of ReSharp. Dave cherishes that knife as well. Yeah, I just saw that knife again at his house. He knew that there is an opportunity to sharpen knives and remove the minimal amount of material. And when he saw this machine, and I showed him that it really works, and the knives are really sharp. I actually still have a cut on my finger here after that day, because the knives are really super sharp when you use this machine. So Dave suggested that he likes the idea, but he doesn't like the business model. Selling knife sharpeners as a retail, as a B2C, is a huge pain in the neck. And after thinking about this for a second, I agreed with him, because I didn't have a plan. With $100,000, that is not much that you can do. You cannot establish manufacturing. And so Dave suggested that, how about we create a new business model where we own and maintain the machine, and we do just a revenue share. He was a part of the team on the Coinstar, so that's how Coinstar operates this coin counting machine. And I couldn't even imagine that the business model like that could exist. So it was essentially robot as a service, ROS business model. And so we quickly formed a new company. Became co-founders. Found another technical co-founder, Ari. Fresh graduate from Stanford, mechanical engineering at Stanford, a really smart guy who helped us out to kind of build multiple generations of machines. So, we're essentially 3 co-founders, and we sold that company in less than 2 years.
Right. And you doubled the price through bidding process, right? So
right.
It was 8-digit, but doubled from what was the first term sheet, right? So
right.
There were a couple of competitors, private equity groups, who ended up really enjoying what you guys developed, right? So any learning points? So we are talking now with you, but investors and startuppers are the listeners to this podcast. So what did you learn? What your advice would be through M&A process, through sales process, exit? What people should not miss? What should they go after? What should they ignore? Probably like few points here. What they should not look at. Let's start with what don'ts, right? Don't do.
Right. Well, it's really hard. Acquisitions are just such an interesting phenomena, right? Somebody has to like you first, and that's probably the hardest part. We were just lucky.
How did you find these guys? I mean, did they find you, or you were like going to the market? Did you hire a banker?
No banker. We had an advisor on our board who introduced us to the first company, and the second company. I actually reached out to the CEO on LinkedIn. Well, so first of all, the number one rule is you have to have something interesting, right, for people to be interested in you. And then secondly, find a good lawyer. We had an amazing lawyer who was helping us.
May I just interrupt you here? So don't hire an investment banker. Is that a good advice?
Well, in our case, it did not help. We were thinking about hiring one, but it wouldn't be helpful to have an investment banker on our team. Not for our particular purpose, no.
Maybe don't be in a rush. Don't be in a rush selling your company, right? Just choose your buyer, right? And create FOMO, right? Create a fear of missing out.
Yes. Create competitive dynamic when you can. It's not always easy. And, I have many friends that are trying to sell their companies, especially now, after the COVID hangover. It's hard to find a good buyer, especially two good buyers. So you have to be in the right place in the right time. That too. Yeah, I think we were. I think we got extremely lucky. Sold it right before COVID. The company is still alive and well, and you can find it at your local hardware, Ace Hardware.
Are you still a shareholder, or you just sold your shares?
So we're still on the earn-out schedule.
Okay.
So
hopefully it's going well to the end.
Yeah.
Towards the end.
Yeah. It's going really well. Yeah.
Okay, good. And Dave is still with the company, right? Is he running the company, or he has gone?
No. Dave is also off the team. And we're pretty much acquiring company is running the whole show right now.
Okay, good. So you ended up having a bunch of cash on your account, probably may live through your life without like doing anything substantial. But unlike many entrepreneurs who ended like becoming investors, angels, or VC founders like me, you decided to step again into the same shoes, right? And start your next journey, which is called iWallet. You have already shown this nice logo, and I remember how excited you were when
that's right.
Jim called me saying, I founded a new company, which is iWallet. And I just saw how like Jim was excited about this name, that this name was not taken by Apple with all its eyes. Jim was like the first one to step into this kind of iWallet category. I asked what this company is all about. Jim said payments. And I'm an expert in payments. I built like one of the largest payment networks in the world with over 600 million transactions, daily transactions. And I thought, okay, where is Jim? And I admire his kind of achievements in hardware space. Although I was very surprised that they ended up selling this company when he first told me what he was doing, sharpening the knives. I said, oh gosh, could he ever sell it? And he ended up selling this on a really very good price. So I thought, okay, what does he understand in payments now? I mean, that's funny that he started payment business, and it generates substantial revenue now with just like no single dollar from external investors. it's also like 8-digit number or 7-digit number now, right, in revenue, and growing somewhat like almost doubling annually, which is great.
Triple.
And by the way,
last
it's
year,
profitable. So when I had to start from saying that Jim is a creator of a $10 billion company. That's how I'm speaking of iWallet always, and I'm sure it is. But tell me how this idea came to you. I mean, why now? Why payments? Maybe you can just explain to people how they should think of ideas, bold ideas.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I've actually tried to do my first payment startup. Back in LA, it was called swipe2payless.com. Back in 2013, I was trying to create a little swiper so that it would be cheaper to process transactions. It kind of at the time was Square was starting out. But that didn't go anywhere, so I kind of put that project on the back burner. And then I met you, right? Since you're really talented in the financial space, thanks to you, I started thinking in a kind of payments direction and started reevaluating the fascination with financial technology.
What did you like? What didn't you like with payments? I mean, what really disturbed you? I mean, what was like something you like hated about payments?
Yeah. So
or now maybe it's not like a problem which was yet solved.
But payments. Well, first of all, it was extremely hard, right? Because when I tried it back in 2013, I realized how hard it is. Business owners don't want to talk to you. There are so many con artists in the in the payment space. They're trying to like sell you something that is not true, and business owners are really reluctant to even talk to you because they don't know who to trust. Margins are really low, and really did not understand it enough. Did not see an opportunity there because of how hard it is, how competitive this is, and that's the reason why it's so hard to penetrate this. But when you have a lot of time and extra cash after the exit, you think that you can just do anything, right? You can figure anything out, and then that's I was talking to you. You said it's worth looking into it one more time. It's actually exciting because it touches everybody, and it's like water. You need it all the time. So. I thought long and hard on the name. It is actually Apple Pay just turned 10 years, this week. In 2013, Forbes, there's this famous Forbes.com article saying iWallet is coming. Well, they ended up calling it Apple Pay and not getting that domain. Yeah. We did get it, and it's a great name. And I always like to think of words of Paul Graham, the founder of YC, that a good name is really important. It'll help you save a lot of money later on with marketing and explaining to users what exactly you're trying to do. So that domain name was not cheap, but we got it. And that's when I called you and I said, okay, I have an idea of building a competitor to Visa and Mastercard. That was iWallet 1.0. I lived in San Francisco at the time, in Seacliff, so really close to the University of San Francisco, the oldest university in San Francisco. And I got involved with the university, with the professor of entrepreneurship there, Gleb Nikitenko, and sponsored their sports team, and we really started working with students to try to. The idea was to build a two-sided marketplace because you had to have both the users and the merchants that would accept those payments, right? So,
you were like playing an Uber game, right? Two-sided marketplace, Uber for payments in a way.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So my hypothesis was that if you can make it work at USF, then you can make it work. You can replicate it. You can make it work in all of San Francisco, and you just go and conquer the rest of the country city by city. And what I ended up doing is, after sponsoring the team, signing up a bunch of students and signing up a bunch of merchants around University of San Francisco, we started giving away 20% cash back. So 20%, the idea was I was
end user, end user coming with your app and getting
Right.
20% off, right? Every purchase.
Yeah,
That's very rich.
My idea was that like Peter Thiel teaches us, an idea has to be 10x better than anything else out there. So since you can get 2% cash back with your Capital One, you can get 20% cash back with iWallet.
I imagine you had a long line of prospects staying and wanting it, right? Desperately, right? You want 20% back, no?
Well, unfortunately, that's not what happened. Students at USF did not care about cashback, and we didn't quite understand why exactly people not that excited about this, merchants were excited because there were no processing fees and they loved the no price. But
so can you imagine, just pause here, can you imagine the product, just a new innovative product, which gives 20% cash back on every purchase to a consumer and puts no fees on a merchant? It's a kind
Correct.
of a project from my past, which is kind of a communism era of Soviet Union, where you can get everything for free on both sides. So it was a marketplace free with only benefits to end users and merchants. And it didn't end up going well, right? Not because of the unit economics, but I mean, neither sides were excited, right?
Right. For some reason, yeah, you were selling, $1, for 80 cents, right? And people were still not buying it. And
now I think that it's a masterpiece. So that's how society and economics work in the society, right? It is unbreakable when people got used to some ritual, and I would say that paying a credit card or whatever debit card with a stripe or tap is a ritual, and you could not break it, right? No. So this ritual is it's religious, right? So whatever you pay, whatever discounts you give, rituals are unbreakable, right? So probably that's the learning part here.
Well, I would say that they are breakable. You can break that habit. And a good example of that is Apple Pay and Google Pay, right? They were able to break that habit, and now they're actually very popular. And I've heard those stories how Apple Pay, what kind of cash Apple Pay was spending to break that habit. But we didn't have the war chest. We didn't have that kind of cash that Apple and Google has to create something like that. And that's when we came to realization that yes, the habit is just way too strong, much stronger than 20% that we're offering. You had to have a lot of cash. Which we didn't have. So then COVID happened, and we thought, okay, with COVID, definitely people would not want to touch things, because our idea was, we should mention that our idea was QR code payments, of like what they have in
and that's
China
what is
and
very
India.
Popular in China. Yeah, China, it's all about QR pay. Yeah, QR code pay. Yeah,
right. And even with COVID, we've learned that even with COVID, people did not care to use our platform. Even our own students, actually, who would sign up that merchant last week, and they would still use a credit card to pay when they go there, despite 20% cashback. So that's when I came to a realization that nothing will change consumers' habits. At least I'm not able, with where I am, with the amount of cash we have, it would not be possible to change consumers. I actually still think it's possible. But I estimate it would take probably about, right now, and I might be wrong, but I would estimate that it would take about $10 billion to create, would be possible, because for Apple Pay, well, yeah, that's what it took for Apple Pay. Right now, it's ubiquitous. But maybe they became more popular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now it's 10 years, yeah. You need to have an Apple brand, $10 billion in 10 years to change these habits.
Yeah. And I read this story on TechCrunch how the there are so many wallets like that that have tried and failed before. And I always thought, okay, my wallet, it would be different. I'm the iWallet, right? Well, no, that didn't work out. That was the painful lesson.
But it worked out well for you. So now your iWallet app is producing quite a few million of dollars of revenue and a profitable business. So you're like EBITDA positive, which is very special for a startup and payment space. And I don't know anyone else who is doing the same kind of thing without any extra dollar raised. All bootstrapped to a few million dollars. That was a mistake. Probably it will be a few billion dollars in a way in some point in time. So what was the pivot? What did you do? Like how did you find out your niche? And what is it now?
So in June of 2021, kind of in the midst of COVID, I met my other co-founder in San Francisco. And this is the true magic of the Silicon Valley is to have this like-minded people that are looking for opportunities. Like you, like Dave, and like my other co-founder Trevor, who really loved the idea and supported it. And the new pivot that I suggested, the iWallet 2.0, was to create a what we call now a field service point of sale system for the home servicers. And, we started working with appliance repair, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical companies. And we found our niche and it really took off from there.
Okay, so it is an app, right? For home, and what does it do? Like, can you describe?
Yeah. So the idea is that it's just an app to take payments in the field. Mm-hmm. It makes it really easy for your plumber to take a payment.
So when plumber comes to like serve a household and charges the household, then it just goes through the app, right? So either there's a check or a credit card pay. So it all goes through the app, right?
Correct. Checks, cards, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle. You can have many different payment systems kind of combined all in one on one ledger. There are many important aspects of that. Remote signature capture, because people don't want to touch, end consumers don't want to touch technicians' hardware. We came up with tips, ideas, and reviews, and many other things in pipeline that we have that are specifically tailored to the home service industry. And because we're so focused on payments, that's what kind of sets us apart from people like Square, for example. A lot of times people think, well, how are you different from Square? Well, Square is great, amazing business.
But you also need a piece of hardware with Square. Here you just do it.
Right.
Just software only, right? No hardware.
Right. That's another learning that we got from you from your book.
I'm hating hardware.
Right.
You're loving hardware, I know.
Well, I love hardware on the one hand. Right. But hardware is hard. Right. And hardware is really expensive and it's not as scalable. That was my other learning from the knife-sharpening company. Because we only built, at the time when we sold the company, we only built like 21 machines. And it was extremely expensive to prototype and build those machines, and they would fail all the time. Software makes it just so much easier, right? When it's just an app, you're not responsible for hardware failures, and it's much more scalable.
Yeah, and it's much longer to build, right? With like a lot of failures in between. I mean, the hardware.
Right, and the margins are much better, obviously, because there is no hardware. Mm-hmm. So thanks to you, we actually made
contributed a little bit to that. Yeah, I'm proud.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we made a conscious decision to get rid of this. We actually, I still have this here. That little
it's a kind of
swiper, Bluetooth swiper that technicians actually hate. They break them, they lose them all the time. It doesn't connect. it might
It's a
work well.
predecessor. What is now iWallet?
Right. Yeah, we used to have that. We would use put our sticker on top of it, and we would brand it. But I'm so glad that we got away from that, especially now with this new tap to pay technology, which I know you also been a part of that journey. It's really important for the field services out there to have the tap to pay.
That's true. So we were, as R136 Ventures, we were investors to a company called MobiWave, which Apple bought and actually built tap to pay functionality based on the company which we were backing up for long, a Canadian company, which is kind of a fascinating thing. So we are connecting it from both sides, iWallet and tap to pay and Apple technology, which is kind of a great thing to have.
Yeah, you essentially said, don't use this box, use tap to pay instead, right? Here it is.
Awesome,
You
really.
need all the tools. Thank you.
Yeah, we contributed a little bit to both sides. Okay. So, if you think of like challenges in this business, how would you just describe like top challenges for you guys? It's a big market, obviously, like multi-billion dollars market. Is it difficult to crack it? How will you like think of like go-to-market strategy? Any tips?
Yeah, the hardest part is talk to this SMB owners, right? Is how do you cut through the noise? SMB owners are super busy. They work really hard, and there are a lot of competitors out there.
And they're very good technicians, but not very good in technology, right? I mean, they're like old-fashioned, right? You told me that they really don't love all these apps, right? It's hard to get them into this, right?
Right. Yeah. So we see some of them still use Razor phones, right? So now app requires a smartphone. So this, I like the saying. Somebody said that 2010s were the decade where the enterprise moved to the cloud. 2020s is the decade of SMBs moving to the cloud, and we are kind of a part of this wave. We are helping SMBs get on the cloud and help them streamline their operations.
How would you envision your product in like 3 years from now? What's gonna be?
Yeah, so in 3 years from now, I'm sure we'll have a lot more products that will add to that, and there are some really interesting products that we're building that might really catch on. But it's really hard to predict that. But if we're going at the pace that we're going now, we'll probably be a nine-digit revenue type of company, and hopefully get even bigger. And who knows what other products we might bring to market. I still have an idea of building a super app. That's what everybody's dreaming about. Like Elon with Twitter, and Uber now. They're thinking of buying Expedia. Who knows what they're thinking there? But there is no super app in America, right? But we see in other countries that it's working.
Maybe Uber to some extent, and like Amazon to some extent.
But it's not quite.
Not like one you see in Asia, like Careem, for example, or Yandex, right? It's like different, or Alibaba, yeah.
So we'll see. It might be that or not. If not, it'll just remain a great tool for home servicers to save time and money with payments.
And the good thing is that with all this AI, home service industry is not going to disappear, because you have all these home appliances anyway at home, and somebody has to bring this service to your location, right? And to deliver. So it means that people will come, unless they are replaced by robots, right? But even the robots must be paid at the end of the day. And we know how ritually difficult, how legacy-based this payment industry is, right? Probably like competing with Visa and Mastercard, kind of like really hard, right? Don't think that this kind of infrastructure will ever be dismissed by something, right? So it's like hard-coded. So it was hard to build, but now it's built for centuries, really. Yeah. So, I mean, if you think of that, it's really hard to imagine that people would just do it differently, right? The means might change, right? So people might pay dollars or might pay like Bitcoins or anything at the end of the day, stable coins, but this infrastructure will stay. And this infrastructure is something what is great, really. So you can come to a very remote part of the world in the middle of nowhere and still pay your credit card, right? So it's a kind of thing, right? Like really, really hard to build and really hard to change at the end of the day. So, and that's good for you, right? So it's like a business which will never go away. But tell me, like with all these AI things, do you think like you are capable of embedding AI tools into iWallet? How you think of that? Anything you're like playing around now with?
Well, we're using AI for our marketing, sales and marketing purposes on the developments and as well for our dev team. But as far as being a part of the app, maybe somewhat with OCR, optical character recognition. There is an element of machine learning there and improving on itself. And maybe with fraud detection. But I'm not sure, if there's any AI when there's not much AI that goes into processing a credit card right now. At least I don't see it.
Well, unless you just apply AI for like big data. So when you just want to do some like analytics and some pattern recognition for big data, probably it makes sense. But probably not LLMs. Yeah, I agree. Different methods.
Yeah, some of the things that we're working on right now in our lab, that might bring some interesting capabilities where LLM might be used to kind of help technicians. But nothing right now.
Do you think this iWallet will ever go out of the US? Do you think it may have like an international expansion? Although it's a big industry in the US, so it can be a $10 billion company, even like going nowhere. But still, do you think there is a chance that you become kind of a global company rather than the US company?
Well, we actually have a long list of Canadian companies that are waiting for us to go to Canada. And Canadians also use checks, only they spell it slightly differently with QUE. But there's definitely an opportunity to go to Canada. And probably, English-speaking countries. We've actually met somebody from Australia just last week. And he was interested. They have plumbing companies in Australia too. Says, anywhere else that are home service companies, it would actually be a good fit. Canada is probably the next frontier for us in the next couple of years.
Okay, interesting. I totally agree. I think that as your advisor, I would stay in the US as long as I could, because this is your biggest market for sure. And you ended up like starting in your biggest market. So why should you leave? You should really make yourself number one player in this market. So we have like maybe 10 minutes to go. So I wanted to switch to like investment profile of yours. So obviously you are, with like a previous exit, you could bootstrap it as long as you want on one hand. On the other hand, but this is a profitable business, right? So you can do it based on your profitable pattern. You can just probably end up developing it without any third-party capital or venture capital. Yet you are in a luxury position because you are not looking for capital, but capital is looking for you, right? So you are one of very rare examples of when you get like 2-3 interested parties a week, and I'm serving as an advisor to Jim, and Jim is like copying me, saying like, do you know this guys? Do you know that guys? And there are quite a few reputable names there, I must say, who really want to like keen to go and invest and like signing the check. And Jim and I are discussing it. Is it good time to start like raising or not? So what's your view? I don't want to you to open all the secrets, but still, what's your view? So what is a good investor for you? How would you determine like what is a good investor? And what would you expect from an investor? Just apart from cash, of course, right? So what would you want to see as an investor?
Yeah, so I've never raised venture before. In my previous startup, we've tried to raise and we failed, and that was another learning, by the way. When you go after a small town, total addressable market, you can't. It's hard to create a vision of building $1 billion company in a $50 million market, right? So now there is actually, you're right. We get a lot of inbound, and it's interesting how we couldn't find investors before. Now investors are finding you. So that's another learning. Once you have something, right, things just happen.
It's a very good learning point for entrepreneurs. If you are a great product and you show the scalability and you add value to your consumers or your corporate customers, you end up becoming a very much a target for smart investors who find you and knock your door. So the amount interest will be there if you are at the right place at the right time with the right product. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, so a good investor in my mind right now is an investor who would be able to, to have a multi-stage fund, right? A bigger fund that will, ideally a partner who would join our board and would be able to provide guidance, and ideally a person with experience in building similar companies.
Similar, but not competitive, not competitors, right?
Right, not necessarily in the same space, but at least in SaaS businesses, building SaaS businesses, software as a service, and somebody, of course, there has to be a chemistry. We have to like each other, and ideally somebody who has a good track record with other founders, right? So
would you check on like reference to
right.
other founders? I would do it for you. I mean,
yes,
I would definitely do it. Yeah. So that's a good advice also. If somebody wants to invest in you, ask for references. How other founders love you and really work with you as an investor. I think that's a good thing.
Correct. Yeah. And
so don't forget to do due diligence on your investor. Not only giving investor a way to make a due diligence on yourself. That's a good advice.
Correct. Yeah. Well, it's not like I've done it before, but that's how I'm thinking
we will
about
certainly
this now.
Do it.
when you have options, right? Sometimes you don't have options, right? If you're just trying to survive, which a lot of entrepreneurs out there are like that, right? And all you have is just one term sheet. But even then, I'm not sure if it's a good idea to take that term sheet with vulture terms. It's always probably better to take a step back and to just try harder. But the ultimate goal should be to stay default alive, like Paul Graham teaches us, right? That way you can take your time, you can grow slower if needed, and then you'll have a lot more options.
Okay, Jim. So my last question for today, and thanks for all these insights. I think they were very interesting and really exciting. So what's your? I mean, you're not yet even 40, right? So
no, I'm over 40.
A little bit over 40. Sorry. Okay, I thought it was still not yet 40. But anyways, when you're 60, let's put this kind of frontier. What would you want to be? What would be your dream for now? How you envision yourself when you're turning 60? Who you are?
Well, I'll probably start another company by then, because it's boring when you're not doing anything. Yeah, maybe a few companies.
You
by
have
then,
something in mind? What fascinates you now? What kind of areas? What's wrong in this world?
Yeah, it changes with day. But one of the things that has been on top of my mind is biotech. This is kind of another industry that I don't fully understand, kind of like microelectronics 10 years ago. And I'm playing around in biotech now, highly risky, right? Lots of companies go bankrupt, but we can really improve, humans and in how, especially with the recent discoveries, there is this Nobel Prize for this new Google invention, what do you call it for building?
Building up proteins.
Proteins.
Protein
Right.
chains.
There are a lot of interesting discoveries that are happening right now in the programming of humans' longevity. There's a lot to be discovered, and this is, and people will be willing to spend a lot of money on improving quality of life, and that's, I'm super interested in that.
Well, I'm sure that in 10 years you will get to quite substantial market share of what you're doing now with iWallet, and probably company will hopefully, I envision it to go public. I would be very unhappy if you sell it on a way to some of like big names, and hopefully you will get it through doing a public offering, and you and I will just ring the bell. I've been to New York Stock Exchange recently, and I was like in a meeting room where actually IPO companies that go through IPO like celebrate this IPO event. And I was thinking of you. I thought, okay, I want like to stay with you there, and then ring a bell and then drink champagne for that. So I think it's coming. It's coming.
Knock on wood. Yeah. Hopefully IPO market will be better than it is now.
It will certainly be better. It could be worse than it is now, for sure.
Right.
It will be either same or better. So.
Yeah.
And it's still a long journey for you guys, for us, I would say. So thanks a lot, Jim. It was really great to speak to you. And I'm a great believer in you as an entrepreneur and iWallet in particular and everything you guys doing. So I really applaud your way of doing business. And as I said earlier, you are one of the best entrepreneurs by character I knew. So, and I'm so proud to be one of your friends and supporters. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This was Jim Kolchin, founder of iWallet and founder of ReSharp, and a very successful entrepreneur whom I admire, and will continue trying to find same quality people to speak with at our podcast, Ventures from the Valley. And I'm Victor Orlovski, founder of R136 Ventures. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being an advisor in my life.
Thank you.
Ventures from the Valley is brought to you by R136 Ventures. To find out more about R136 Ventures and how we scale mid to late stage startups by unlocking their true potential through investment, visit r136.vc. We will be back soon. In the meantime, make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any further episodes. On behalf of our team here at R136 Ventures, thanks for listening.